So, hello there, this is Favi Martinez, and I'm here to further explore this mysterious issue about JPX and JBX files that are getting mysteriously created within our software and our embroidery machines, and that is Janome embroidery machines. So what I've done before I actually started this video was I did a little bit of preliminary preparation so that I can explain a little bit more about what's happening with the forming of those files. And so what I've done is I've opened my MBX version 5 digitizing program, and I have created a little design using 5 circles that I have just put here on my screen as a demonstration purpose. It's not an important file, it's just that I've created an EMB file in MBX. I have also created a very similar one over in my Hatch version 2 software, and these ones are red, and the ones that are back in the Janome MBX version are blue. So we're going to start, I believe, with the MBX versions. So what the question has been that's being tossed around primarily between about 3 of us on our digitizing group is, why are we getting these files, and are they important or are they not important? Well, one thing that I'm going to be able to start off by saying right off the bat is I don't think they're really that important, because what I have noticed, and this is since way back when I was first an owner of my Janome 12,000 machine, is that when I was cleaning up my USB stick after embroidering designs, and I would notice that these JPX files and JBP files were on them, I would delete them, and I would even re-embroider a design that was a JPX file, and it didn't seem to affect the fact that that JBX or JBP file had been deleted. So I don't think that they're really that important, but I could be wrong. Anyway, what I'm going to show you now is a couple of different ways of exporting designs onto a USB stick, and I have my USB stick in my computer. It has been formatted in my Janome 15,000 sewing machine, and when I look at that in a few minutes, we will see that I've also got a couple of other files on there that I want to talk about very quickly. But so what I've got is my circles, and I am not going to output them as an EMB file because it's not an important design that I ever actually plan to use. This is just demonstration purposes. But I am going to export the design, and as you know, when we export a design, we're sending it out as a stitch file, which will be used on an embroidery machine. So my design is called MBX Circles, and I have selected the JPX format. In my USB stick, in my EMB folder, explanations folder. So I'm just going to write this design. I'm going to save it onto my USB stick. Okay, so there it went. I am now going to open my USB stick, and we're going to look at my folder, and it is in my EMB folder, explanations folder. And here I've refreshed my screen, and so you're going to see that what happened was my MBX circles came over as a JPX file, just as I exported it to be. You will notice that there is no JBX file that came along with it. This is the side note I was mentioned when I first started the video that I wanted to show you on my USB stick, and this is connected to not only this discussion but also one that I did a video on a couple of weeks ago, and that was about what a JEF Plus format is and what it is not. This was the design that I created in Horizon Link Suite to demonstrate creating a JEF Plus file. You're going to notice I called it One Machine JEF Plus, that what also got created when I made that design was this file, a JBP file. Isn't that interesting? So it's kind of the same scenario is happening with our JEF Plus files. It's happening with our JPX files. It's creating a little friend that's tagging along with them. This spool that's over here on the screen is a built-in design on the 15,000 machine. When you export a built-in design off of the embroidery machine, it will come out of there as also as a JEF Plus. And this spool JEF Plus also created a little friend called the spool JBP. So, as I just said, these Jeff Plus files have also created a little extra friend that's tagging along with them. All right, but back to my MBX circles, it did not create a JBX file with it. I'm coming back now into my digitizing program, MBX version 5. This time I'm going to use the write to the USB function. So I'm just going to select it, open up my USB stick, my explanations folder. Come on. And you're going to see the files that are listed here that were previously on my stick are those two Jeff Plus files as well as the MBX circle that I just exported. So I need to designate this new one as a slightly different file. So I'm going to rename it, and this one I'm going to call my 2 MBX circle, and that's just to distinguish it from the first one that I sent over. Okay, and I am sending it now. So it has been sent to the USB stick, and let's take a look at it on File Explorer. I'm just going to refresh my folder. So here it is. Here's my original MBX circles as a JPX. Here is the new one that I just sent, the 2 MBX circles sent out as a JPX, and it has this little tag along friend created .jbx. Okay, interesting, isn't it? Okay, we will minimize that screen, and the next thing we're going to do is come over to Hatch. And in Hatch, as I started off by saying, I also created a very similar design, 5 radial fill circles. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did over in MBX. I am going to not save my design as an EMB. I'm just going to export it onto my USB stick. And it has opened up my USB stick. It's called the Hatch Circles. It's a JPX. I'm saving it on my USB stick. We're going to look at my USB stick. Let's refresh my stick and look at it. So here are my Hatch Circles that are JPX, and they're just plain old JPX. There's nothing attached to them. There is no JBX that has been created. Okay, this time what we're going to do, very similar to what's in MBX, in Hatch we've got a function that's called the transfer button. And the reason why this is going to be slightly different is because Hatch is somewhat of a generic program. It was not designed specifically by Wellcom for Janome sewing machines like the MBX program is. MBX, as you know, can also create embroidery files for all kinds of sewing machines, but it primarily was designed by Wellcom for Janome, and it communicates a little bit differently with our sewing machines than what the Hatch program does. So if you're going to use this transfer button, you needed to do a little bit of work beforehand, and that is over in your machine tab. If you were to select this, you can change your transfer settings. So when you installed your Hatch program, one of the things that you could do on it is you could designate what your machine is that you is your primary sewing machine that you use for embroidery. And on my program, I have selected my Janome 15,000 machine. The file type can be changed. So what I want you to notice here is that you can select what is the file format that you tend to want to send out to transfer your designs as. And I have selected JPX because that is what we are discussing during this demonstration. And also the location that it is sending it out to is my USB stick, which on my computer is looking at it as a F, it's in my F drive. It's my EMB folder right now, and it's in my explanations folder. I could browse and change those if I wanted to. But this is what I want to see happen because I'm working with this little demo for you. So I'm going to say OK. And now I'm going to select my transfer button. And it is asking me if I want to replace this Hatch Circle JPX because it already exists on my USB stick. Now remember what it is that's the one that I exported out of the program. All right, and we saw that that only went out as a JPX. It did not have a JBX affiliated with it. So it's wanting to overwrite that design, and that's okay with me because it is the same design. We're just trying to find out where JBX has come from. So I will say yes, it has sent it over to my USB stick. I'm going to open my USB stick, and there it is, and it's just the hatch circles with JPX, and it does not have a JBX attached to it, sending it out with that transfer design function. Okay, so what happened? What happened is that when we were in a Janome-based program and we exported a design out using our transfer button, or in the case of digitizing, it was writing a design, it created a JBX file because it's associated with Janome. All right, so the other thing that I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to pause my video, and I am going to use the same USB stick that I have been writing designs onto. And off camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that USB stick into my Janome 15,000 sewing machine, and we're going to see what happens next. Okay, so I am back, and you can see that I am still in my MBX screen. What I did while I paused the recording, was that I took the USB out of my computer. I turned on my MC 15,000 machine and put the USB drive into it, and I navigated over into the embroidery folder just to look at my designs that were on that USB stick. And then I shut down my machine, and I came back over to my computer and put the USB back into my computer. And now we're going to look at that USB stick in File Explorer. Opening the explanations folder, I'm going to expand my screen. And what we're going to look at now was what happened while I was away. Guess what, my friends? My MC 15,000 sewing machine created some JBX files for us. So this is what we had here before. If you will remember, we had 2 MBX circles, JPX, and now my 2 MBX circles have a JBX attached to them, because that was what was coming out of MBX program. My hatch circles, on the other hand, I had exported it as a JPX using the export button in Hatch, and it did not create a JBX file. I also used the transfer button in Hatch to send the JPX onto my USB stick, and it did not create a JBX. But when I put that USB into my sewing machine, I now have Hatch circles as a JBX. So 2 things that we can surmise from all of this is that if we are using our Janome MBX programs and we are exporting JPX files to either the USB stick or directly into our sewing machine, it is going to create a JBX file. When we use a USB stick in our sewing machine, and that is a USB that has been formatted in our sewing machine, and if it had a JPX file that did not have its little buddy coming alongside of it, the sewing machine did create that JBX for us. So as we were talking about I don't know if I talked about it on this video or not, but I know that we've had the discussion at least within the group. When we delete these JBX files and even these JBP files that are associated with the JEF Plus format, it does not seem to affect the ability of the sewing machine to stitch out these designs. And so I don't see them necessarily as an essential thing. What I also wanted to mention, though, is that I did send out a letter to a query to the Hatch technical support people, and I have not yet received an answer yet from them, but I did ask them, what are they? What are JBX files? And what are JBP files? And are they something that we need? Why does the machine create them? Why does MBX version 5 create them? So I hope I get an answer back from them, and when I do, and if I do, I will certainly share that with all of you. So anyway, I hope that you also enjoyed this little exercise in using MBX version 5 and Hatch version 2 and seeing when it is that we are getting these JBX files. And we're seeing that the connection is primarily through either our sewing machine or through the MBX version 5 program, at least from my end. So I would also appreciate anybody else piping in with information that you're finding out about this interesting subject. Interesting for us, huh? It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for watching.